Morning everyone, my name is Audrey. I am stitchywitch42 here on FlossTube and over on Instagram. Today is Monday, the 1st of April 2024. The 1st of April 2024. Less than a month, people. I will be retired in less than a month. Ermagerd. Less than a month. 2060. Oh my God. It is getting so close. The ducks are lined up. They've been ticked off one at a time. And the last thing that I have to do is the day after my birthday, which is the 29th of this month, will be to actually apply for Social Security. The reason why I'm waiting until the day after my birthday is a $34 difference per month. $700 per year more in Social Security benefits than if I applied now, before my 65th birthday. Everybody I've talked to has said that's the smart move, so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing. It's getting closer, people. It is getting closer. Closer. It is a sunny day outside. It is cold. It's only 49 degrees, so it's a bit chilly out there. We still have the pellet stove running. And I was going to get on here today and say, the road is done. And there's a dump truck parked in front of my house. They're going in. They did the curb, they did a sidewalk, and then there's a green space, and they are putting in topsoil there so that grass can be planted in that top space, in that topsoil. I've talked with the guys several times and asked them not to do that in front of ours, that we would take care of it, because by doing that, you know, we lost 3 feet of flower bed. Well, that 3 feet of flower bed is now on the outside of the fence, and if they leave it alone and let us do what we want, I can have my 3 feet of flower bed back. And I want to get my lavenders planted out there. I plant lavenders, 1, because I think they're a beautiful plant, 2, they are low maintenance, and 3, and most importantly, the bees love them. I plant lavender for the bees. So, there is a dump truck out there. You may hear noise, but hopefully this will be the last time. I had to go into my closet and dig out this old t-shirt of mine. Don't ask me where I got it. I have no recollection of where I got it. All I remember is that early on in my FlossTube career, yeah, in my FlossTube adventures, someone told me about these t-shirts, and I immediately had to go over and get one because, you know, live long and stitch on, people. This one says live long and stitch. I needed to have that one, but you'll understand more later on. I've got to finish, and it's fabulous. It's not fully finished. I want some help with it, but I know what I want to do. So much to do, so little time. Okay, I've talked about retirement, I've talked about the road, I've hinted at a finish. I have a second finish, a start and a finish. But before I get into that, I want to address my giveaway from last time, because I actually remembered to do one, and I actually remembered to go and pick a winner. So I had finished stitching Bats by Stitches and Style, this pattern here, and I said, say the word bats on your comments, and 10 people said bats. And number 7, I asked Mark, I don't use the random comment generator anymore because they want to charge for it and I'm not paying for it. So I've resorted to my old way. I write a list of all the names of people, and then I go out to Mark and I say, pick a number between 1 and 10, and he picked number 7, and number 7 is Stitch Rhodey, and I happen to know her, so the next time I see her, I'm just going to take this and give it to her because I can. So, Anna, you want something? Woo! I have got a start and a finish. That is my Sheldon project. And you're going, okay, Audrey, what's a Sheldon project? You know me. I tell stories. It's what I do. I saw this pattern. And I mean, as soon as the designer posted it on Instagram, I had to have it because it reminded me of my daughter. I come from a military family. In fact, I think in my family we have every branch of the service covered except for the Coast Guard. My husband's grandfather was one of the last U.S. cavalry members. His dad was in the National Guard. My dad started in the Army and later transferred to the Air Force. I've had several brother-in-laws and nephews who have been Marines. My husband, my son, my daughter have all been in the Navy. We're a military family. My respect goes to anybody and everybody who ever has served, who is serving, or who will serve in the future. Thank you all so much for doing that. But I saw this pattern, and it made me think of my daughter, because not only was she in the Navy, she also has a thing for Kraken. Yeah. So I know I showed you the pattern when it first came out. It's by the Witchy Stitcher. And I immediately had to go and look for some fabric to go along with it. This is the Witchy Stitcher, the Black Pearl. So I found some fabric. It was by Under the Sea Fabrics, and it was called Fiery Skies. And I immediately took my pattern and my fabric, and I put them in a project bag. And the only project bag I had that even closely related to Kraken was this one, made by Stitch and Buttons, because Ursula. It works, right? It works. I don't kit up projects ahead of time. I have projects that I want to stitch, and usually when I'm ready to start a new project, I go upstairs, I find the pattern, I find the fabric, I find the floss, and I grab a project bag and I put it all together, and there is no pile of bags upstairs with kitted projects waiting to be started. It's just the way my brain is happy. But I had this all kitted up. 310 black DMC. It was the only thing that wasn't in there. But I had this ready to go. And this is where it became my Sheldon project, because I have a Longerberger basket that sits here on the floor with the projects in it that I'm currently working on. And this was sitting in there. And every now and again in my brain it would go, knock knock Audrey, knock knock Audrey, knock knock Audrey, you want to stitch on this? And I did. I wanted to stitch on it. But I was intimidated by that big piece of fabric. I bought a fat half of Fiery Skies. And I knew what area I wanted to stitch this piece in, but I was afraid to cut the fabric. Have you ever felt that way? I was afraid to cut the fabric. So finally, after knock knock Audrey, knock knock Audrey, knock knock Audrey, you want to stitch this pattern. I took myself upstairs and I took the fabric with me and I prepared to cut it. My house is not a big house by any means, and the way the rooms are set up in this house, I don't have any place to really cut fabric. A fat half of fabric. I don't have any place that I can lay it all out. In my crafting bureau, I have a 2-foot by 4-foot folding table in there that's put up against the wall, and there's some baskets hanging on the pegboard behind it, and there's a couple of things that sit on the end of that 2-foot by 4-foot table. And I do have a mat board up there for cutting, but basically I have a 1.75 foot by maybe 3 feet space that I can lay out fabric on, and it took me forever to set up my fabric on there and somewhat get it straight to the size that I needed to stitch this piece. So I started stitching it. And as soon as I started stitching it, I knew that I had to finish it because, number one, I loved the pattern. I think the pattern is absolutely gorgeous. The only thing that I left off were the words. I didn't want to put the black pearl on there because, in my opinion, it just didn't need it. Now, the fabric, again, part of the reason why it intimidated me is because I had an idea of how I wanted it to look. But with this kind of fabric, where do you start? How do you place it so that I can get the look that I want? And I finally decided, okay, there's 4 pages to this pattern. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to find the middle of this piece of fabric that I cut, and I'm going to, fingers and toes crossed, hope that it turns out the way I wanted it to. And it did. And I love it. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. But this is my copy of the Black Pearl. And this turned out so perfect in so many ways. So perfect. I've got the blue for the water. I've got the fiery skies. It looks like everything is all churned up by the Kraken, and I think that this is gorgeous. Gorgeous. And if YouTube is nice, they will have picked that moment to take a screenshot so that you can see the Black Pearl on fiery skies. I hope my daughter loves it. She's not getting it till Christmas because I want to take it and set it up at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit when I go there this September. I got in. I'm telling you, signing up for retreats, stressful. So stressful. But I got in, and I'm going, and I'm really excited because this year I'm going to have a roommate. And my roommate is Chris Yoo, as the Yo flies. Yes! Anna set us up. That's okay. It's all right. So, I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. I have some projects in mind because, you know, every time you go to a retreat, everybody's passing out little goodies. and I have ideas for what I want to pass out as my goodies this year. And I have an idea of a little project to work on for my table mates. And I'll have plenty of time to do it after April is over because I'll be retired. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I have been working on my bat projects. The newest one, or the current one that I'm working on, is my 7th project. This is by Bad Stitch, which is a shop on Etsy. It's called A Study in Bats. And I know that I showed progress on this with you last time. This is where I'm at with it. I haven't really done a lot. I've worked some more on the book down here, but the black pearl. It took me a week from start to end to finish the black pearl, and it kind of took precedent over any other stitching. So this is where I'm at with it. I think this is gorgeous. I have an idea in mind of how I want to finish it. So we're good with that. There has been one other project that I have been working on that has taken precedent, and I will be doing a second video today to share the final flip through of the 6 journals that I made for the 6 ladies that I work with most closely at my store. But I have one down here, and I'm just quickly going to show you the front of it. And there will be a final flip through that shows you everything that I've done in here. But these are finally done, and after I do my video, I can wrap them. And I can stop stressing about that, and I can stop thinking about that, because I keep getting more ideas, and I could add and add and add and add and add, and at some point you gotta say, okay, Audrey, it's enough. So, the piece that I've been waiting to share with you, my other finish, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this. I think it's gorgeous. But before I show you, I have to tell you about something I read today on our local Facebook page. I live in Silverton, Oregon. And there is a group on Facebook called Silverton Connections, where people who live within Oregon can share whatever it is that they want to share. And this morning I read a story, and I'd like to share it with you. Noted from Oregon Film, a Hollywood production plans to shoot in our area this summer. Paramount Pictures announces an episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds will be filmed in Silver Falls State Park and Silverton in late July. Storyline 4/1/2024. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 location shoot. Episode 312. Lumberjack Logic, shooting July 24th through 29, 2024. Season 3 location shoot. Number 1, Commander Spock, Lieutenant Uhura, man a shuttle from the Enterprise in pursuit of an unidentified alien probe that pulls them back in time to a logging community in the 1930s Earth. With no way to return to their time, they must adapt in life in the rugged Pacific Northwest until they are rescued, if they ever will be. I think this is absolutely amazing, because Silverton, Oregon at one time housed the world's largest lumber mill. The area of town that I live in is called Milltown, because about 5 blocks behind me that way is where the lumber mill was. So I think it's fantastic. I am tickled to death, and I'm tempted to go up there and see if I can watch some of the shooting, if that's allowed, because I'll be retired and I'll have time. Star Trek is going to be filmed in Silverton. Oh my God. So I am looking forward to that. But that leads me to the piece that I want to show you, and I have to lean forward and grab it because I have it hanging on my camera. But I finished Live Long and Prosper, Vulcan Calligraphy. Go to my Instagram, look at the reel that I put on there. You're going to see it much better than you will see on screen now. But here it is. From top to bottom. I stitched it on gray linen with Silks for You, PR168. Can I get it all in there? I can, right there. I want to make this into a bell pull, and right now this is just ironed. It's not stitched, it's not anything. I just measured out from my center line and I ironed it, and that's about how wide I want to finish it. Right now it's hanging on a Tim Holtz hanger that I bought years ago at Joann's, but I want to finish it so it looks just like this. Now my question is, I've got all this extra fabric at the bottom, and I actually like that. So, do I finish it off right under the stitching, or do I leave some of the blank fabric underneath it? Because in my mind it kind of balances it out to have it a little bit longer, like it would be more of a banner than a bell pull. And I have blue fabric upstairs that I want to use for the backing of it. But to be honest with you, I'm terrified of doing the sewing on this. I know I can. I know I will. I'm going up to Cheryl's house next Monday, and I'm going to take this with me so that I can get both hers and Anna's input on finishing this. But this is done. This is gorgeous. It will hang here in my living room. And I'm just so happy that this piece is done, and I think it's beautiful. So, if you're a Trekkie like I am, it's an excellent piece to stitch on. Enemy Is Thy Name is the designer on Etsy. It's gorgeous, and you can either stitch it this way or you can stitch it so that it's in 3 segments this way. Either way is beautiful. But yeah, Star Trek is going to film an episode in Silverton, Oregon this year. I think that's so cool. Anyway, I think I've shared everything that I have to share today. And I know this isn't a very long video, but you know, sometimes that happens, and short and sweet is good. Thing says hi. He doesn't have anything to share today, but he may have soon. We'll see. Anyway, my brain has said that's all I need to say. So I guess that's where I end off. Until we meet again, my friends, live long and stitch on.